Hey, how's it going? This is Jeff here. I'm on my porch, and this afternoon, or almost afternoon, I wanted to share with y'all a little bit about what being a warrior is all about. And a lot of people, perceive this warrior archetype as this like ultra domineering, ultra dominant masculine force, but I want to tweak that narrative a little bit, and I want to maybe pose a question to you around what dominance is, and around how the narrative of masculinity and the difference between toxic masculinity and true masculinity, what that gap is, and I think it lies in what dominance is. It lies in the imbalance of being able to listen, of being able to the inability to listen is what creates that imbalance. It's what creates the dominant masculinity instead of the masculinity that goes within and that listens to that voice, that guidance, that truth, and that operates from a space of truth, and that operates from a space of a space of righteousness and good and fortitude. Someone who is a protector, a defender. If you ever seen the movie City of God, you know that is the warrior archetype, the guy, the knight who protects the city, who rises up. He rises up from serfdom to protecting Jerusalem from the invading army. And in the end, he wins not in the battle, because the city falls in the end, but he wins in that he saves people's lives, and that he has looked out, his leadership has looked out for the greater good and the greater negotiation of the final outcome of the battle. He has saved people's lives because of how he has held himself, how he has protected the city, and how he has defined himself as a human being. He has won the respect not only of his people but of the invading army, and they let them go. They let him and all the other folks in Jerusalem, they let them leave in peace. And so I'm reading this book. I've brought it up before, called Sacred Contracts by Caroline Myss. And I want to read about the warrior archetype. Excuse me here. I want to read about the warrior archetype here because I think it's such a powerful vision for what, for what a whole human being, a whole person who transcends themselves, who transcends the ego self of only looking out for their own well-being and finding their greater well-being and serving the well-being of others. And I think it's so poignant, especially for right now, because of everything that's happening. We're being asked individually to rise up, to stand in our power, to not only stand in our power, but to stand in our truth. There is a narrative of what standing in your power looks like. There is a narrative of what being a man looks like. It is that domination archetype. It's that I'm too afraid that I'm not enough. I'm too afraid that someone else is going to dominate me. And so I try and dominate first. And that's all from a place of fear. But when you come from a place of truth, when you come from a place of strength, of love, of inner knowing, of loving yourself, of putting yourself first, of consciousness, when you come from that space, you become a warrior. You are a warrior because you're standing in your truth. You know your path, and you'll do anything it takes to move through it. To move through it. They say that I heard this on another motivational speaker said this. They said when a sniper is shooting their target, they're not aiming at their target. They are looking through to the other side of their target. You have got to be honed in on the trajectory and past the end result. You have got to be coming from within yourself and looking to fulfill and to move through who you are becoming. You need to be constantly asking yourself, who am I becoming? And you need to constantly be listening to yourself, looking for the next step and visualizing, who you are, what you want for your life, knowing, asking yourself, defining and redefining that, and really standing in your power. Because when you go within and you listen to that voice, that is that truth that you stand in. That is that you will hit your target because you are moving through it. You are moving into something greater. You are going from the singular to the plural, from the me to the collective. You're pushing yourself out into the world from this inner knowledge. And so the warrior archetype, Caroline Myss wrote, the warrior archetype represents physical strength and the ability to protect, defend, and fight for one's rights. Whereas the knight, which I think the knight is that shallow, superficial, masculine archetype that we are leaving behind and that we are working, we're working with now in this unhealthy, toxic masculinity. Whereas the knight is associated with protecting damsels, the warrior is linked to invincibility and loyalty. Warrior energy is erotic for the male, representing the height of virility and physical power, as well as toughness of will and spirit. That is you are the vision, you are the goal, you are the go-getter, and everybody has this in them. It doesn't matter if you're female or male. They point to the Amazonians too. The Amazonian women, they say, so she writes also about the Amazonian women. She says, women have long been defenders of their families, and the Amazon tribe of warrior women has become legendary because of their ability to engage in fierce battle, even sacrificing part of their female physique to facilitate warfare, which the story goes, they used to cut off one of their breasts so they could shoot their bows and arrows. But so that is a piece of the warrior archetype. And for me, so I want to share with you, we got kind of the sunlight coming in. It's kind of nice here. But for me, I want to share with you a poem that I wrote. And before that, no, I'll share with you this poem first. This poem goes, and this is this piece of me. I wrote this around my own, my own struggles, my own inner calling to come out into the world, to pull myself from my pain and move through the trauma that I've been working through, move through the trauma and into this space, to transcend it, into this space of greater consciousness, of greater communion with other people, of being able to take this pain and transmute it into sharing, healing, and growing in my life and help others with it. And so this is my experience, and I feel like this is a collective experience of of moving through from victim to survivor to thriver to the warrior, to the warrior, to the person who shows up fully, and who is manifesting and finding those steps beneath their feet and listening to their body for their next step, who is so in touch. When you're so in touch with yourself, you become connected. It's like your nervous system is like a Bluetooth. And so when you're so in touch with yourself, you communicate, and you understand more. You're more aware of the world around you. You're able to connect more deeply with people. You're able to, when you can be more vulnerable and safe in your vulnerability, you can connect and be more vulnerable and safe with other people. And you can create that container. You can create that community. You can create that family. And so here is that fragmented piece that we are struggling we are coming out of, and we are coming into this collective. And this is the call for the warrior. This is the call for the warriors within all of us. It says, screaming voices, worrying, shouting, yelling to be heard, like faces and hands pressing at a sheet from behind its faceless dormancy. The masks we are clawing out of. What stands between you and breathing? And so I want to ask you this. Because remember this. If you take one question from this conversation, this video, take this. Whose life are you living? Whose life are you living? We need to start pivoting towards ourselves. And when we start pivoting towards ourselves, we start finding that path. We start finding that trajectory. We start aligning with our truth, and we can start moving towards it. I just saw a woodpecker, and I want to read you the woodpecker's spiritual meaning. I do this with animals when I see them. It says, the woodpecker totem symbolizes opportunities knocking at your door, just as the bird pecking at the wood creates a knocking sound. As the saying goes, whenever the opportunity comes knocking, you must always open the door. This signifies the spiritual meaning of knocking. The woodpecker can feed itself because it sees value in everything and never gives up at the slightest difficulty. If the bird didn't continue hammering, it would not be able to maximize its benefits. You must be relentless in your struggle of making a foundation, a permanent, solid ground in your life. With a woodpecker as your animal totem, you can recall any past events in life when you gave up too soon and missed great outcomes. You must try to recapture and revive the spirit of the past. Then it may be possible to attain the success you had lost before. If the woodpeckers did not continue pecking at even the dead trees, they wouldn't find their haven for survival in the end. The woodpecker animal totem tells you to keep moving forward until you reach your desired success level. Use your intellectual ability and strength and set your directions and plans for life. Then let the woodpecker animal totem initiate and drive your energy to achievement. That is the warrior archetype. It's that foundation. That foundation is going within. That foundation that you have to set for yourself. That digging into the dead tree, to the dead material, to the unconsciousness. That digging into those depths of yourself where, those unexpressed pieces of yourself are, and then letting them come out into the light. That's how you pivot towards yourself and find your trajectory forward. And that is how we find this warrior within us. Because when we align with that greater path, the walking becomes easier. The path becomes clear. There's less obstacles in our way. Henry David Thoreau wrote this quote. He said, "The mass of men and women, the mass of people, the mass of everyone live lives of quiet desperation." So whose life are you living? Whose life are you living? Remember that and ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I needing in the moment? You need to pivot towards yourself, and you will find that warrior within you and walk towards it. Thank you.